Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rants on the Ruling Class. I'm Todd, and this is my cohort, Bill. I really don't even really know what to say or how to open this podcast, if I'm being quite honest with you. But what crazy times we're living in. I think we are staring down probably one of the single biggest, if not the biggest, Supreme Court uh, rulings to ever come out of that court, and I've said it a long time ago, 5 years ago, we started doing this, that Trump's biggest accomplishment was securing the Supreme Court. And I think we're going to find out exactly if that holds true or not. And if it doesn't hold true, we got a whole nother conversation to take place. So I know there's a lot of people that hate Trump that are jumping up and down. Screaming and hollering that they won. It's great. Bury that SOB, whatever they're saying. I was on social media a little bit for today. Nasty, nasty people out in droves today talking about how this is such a great move for our country. Keep the dictator out of office. But really what they're cheering is their own demise. And I can't understand how anybody, conservative, liberal, whatever you want to call yourself, thinks that four people in Colorado can decide who's on the ballot for president for the rest of this country. It baffles me how anybody thinks that's okay or a good idea. And yet we have thousands and millions of people cheering the decision by four very left-leaning liberal judges, I guess, appointed judges that were never elected that may decide the fate of our country. And to me, that's very disturbing, to be honest with you.
Well, it's the fate of the entire world. Let's be honest about that. You know, I had a conversation with a close friend and confidant, I think it was yesterday. And we kind of, we were talking about several different things. And I made the comment, I said, you know, I go back and forth because I called somebody stupid. I said, wait a minute, maybe I should call them ignorant. And I just realized, you know, my whole life almost, I've gone back and forth about, okay, should I call that person ignorant or stupid? Stupid's kind of harsh. Ignorant means a lack of information. Maybe it's a little bit politer. But I just admitted yesterday, I said, look, self-imposed ignorance is stupid. So I'm tired. I'm tired of playing around with it. The people you're talking about, Todd, the people that applaud this type of thing, they're absolutely stupid. They're idiots. Because I don't care what their ideology is. I don't care if they're progressive, quote unquote. I don't care if they like Trump or they don't like Trump. This has nothing to do with politics. This is not politics. This is absolute enslavement. This is
political lawfare is what it is.
It's shredding the Constitution. It has nothing to do with politics within the normal framework, right? It's not, politics is about compromise, debate, you know, figuring out a way. No, this is force. Like you said, using lawfare. This is taking over a country against the will of the people. And by the way, you and I asked each other a question a minute ago. Is it possible? Do you think these, I don't want to use the word liberal anymore. Do you think these communists, these globalists, do you think do they feel like they're in the majority in this country? Do they really think that most of the people will rally around them and behind them and that they're the heroes, that people are applauding them? Do they really believe that?
Well, I think when I look at the ruling in Colorado, even if the Colorado judges know that this is going to get overturned at the Supreme Court level, look at all the way back when this first started with Cheney and all them on the January 6th committee. They started a narrative right then of insurrection. That was when this whole
talking has been planned the whole time.
Yes, the whole talking point was formed right then. And then everything that we've seen unfold around that, every propagandist or media controlled person that's speaking that narrative, they all use the same language. But really what they did is whether they believed it or not at the time, they were in on forming the narrative that now has landed and people believed, and that has resulted in Trump being taken off the ballot in Colorado.
And let's just spell it out for everybody. What they did is they stole an election from Trump. They knew, because of how popular he was, They knew of the outcry, the outrage that would happen. They knew what would happen in DC. They knew people would descend on DC. They staged an insurrection. They set it up. They planted people in the crowd. They opened the gates of the Capitol. They had people out there, fomenting the whole thing on the inside. They set it up. They started using the word insurrection from hour one in the whole thing, and they staged it. They filmed it. It's an entire production. CIA has got to be involved in it. This is what they specialize in. This is how they do color revolutions and everything else. And then they used it from the very beginning to make sure not only could they get Trump out of office, but he could never come back because they would accuse him of insurrection. So yes, way, way back before January 6th, this has been planned step by step, every little bit of it all along the way. Now, I don't think it's going as well as they want it to. I don't think they ever dreamed that would probably last this long. He'd be as popular as he is. He'd be winning all the polls and the popularity contest. He'd be beating the lawfare. I don't think they had any idea of how strong they're making him. But they keep going. But they can't back up now, Todd.
Nope.
I mean, they're in. They're in. They have got to go down this path. And there's something I want to climb on the soapbox for half a second on here. For years now in this podcast and in like-minded conversations and in pubs and in back rooms and in living rooms, you hear the debate all the time. Is our country lost? Is it too late? Anything we do, does it make a difference anymore? Or should we just sit back and shut up and protect our own? Is it worth standing up and fighting for? Is it all a facade? In other words, we know how far back it goes back decades, this entire movement to undo the United States, to replace it with a globalist structure, an alternative shadow government, administrative state, however you want to call it, and all those different factions. This has been going on a long time. So the question always comes down, well, are we just living a dream thinking we still have a democracy, thinking we still have any say at all in what goes on? And my position has always been, yes, we do. Yes, it's bad and it's getting worse and it's going in the wrong direction. But yes, it's still not too late. Yes, we still have time. Yes, we fight the battles now verbally and with vigor and with our money and our time and everything else so that our children don't have to pick up rifles later, right? I mean, we do it now because there's still the opportunity to change course. We're going to find out how real that is. Because this is going to go to the Supreme Court. And, there's only two possibilities. I mean, there's a lot of different rulings they could make and things they could say or not do, but it's only two outcomes. Either this is going to be overturned or it's not. Either our Supreme Court's going to allow states not to put the most popular candidate on the ballot, or they won't. And that is going to answer the question that we just talked about, that we've been debating for years.
Yeah.
Now, am I saying that I'm going to give up and go hide my head and cry and just go away if the Supreme Court allows it to stand? No, I didn't say that. But it's going to tell us where we're at. More than anything else that's ever happened in our lifetimes, more than anything else globally that's ever been impactful, I would suggest this will be more impactful than the dropping of the atomic bomb. If you really look at how many lives in the future, in the course, the global politics, the course of the entire future, what this will affect, it is more impactful ultimately. Because if the United States goes down, if the United States is gone as a free country, the world has no hope.
Correct.
And all the gloves will be off. There won't even be any pretense of a pretense anymore. On the other hand, here's where it gets a little bit better. If the Supreme Court does what I believe it has to do, and what many people I respect, even cynical attorneys I know, if it does what everybody with half a brain knows it needs to do, and it reverses this and tells Colorado justices to go pound sand, if that happens, then Todd, I don't want to hear any more people saying sitting on the sidelines. I don't want to hear any more about people saying, oh, I can't make a difference. I don't want to hear any more people saying it's too late, nothing can be done, because that will be absolute evidence that it is not too late. Right. That we can keep our country, we can keep our freedom, we can protect our future, we can guide our country where it needs to go. All it takes are strong men and women.
Yeah.
And so here's really my message. Even though the fate of the world, and this is not hyperbolic, this is true, the fate of the world rests on the decisions of 9 people right now, 9 Supreme Court justices. So even though the fate of the world rests on 9 people, the responsibility lies with every single one of us. And if they do the right thing, it's going to be square on our shoulders to pick it up from there and drive it home. And I'm not talking about violence. I'm not talking about anything, but I'm talking about it's time to take a stand.
Right.
It's not time to be quiet. It's not time to be timid. It is time to stand up for what's right, because it can never be plainer. It can never be more clear as to what the circumstances are, what's at risk. So
everything.
Everything. I'm sorry to ramble a little bit, but this is it's a focal point. And I would suggest 20 years from now, 30 years from now, whatever, everybody that is alive today is going to remember what happens over the next coming months here with the Supreme Court and with this elections and what's going on.
Absolutely.
It is that big a deal. We need to write our own history on this. And we need to pray. We can't take anything for granted. And if God gives us a chance to go ahead and pull this out and maintain the glory of what he helped us set up in the beginning for the dignity of mankind and for the freedom of the human spirit, if he gives us an opportunity to maintain that, then we cannot waste it.
Correct. We have to capitalize on it and move forward. Way forward.
I agree.
But you know, when you look back, when you're talking about, we were talking a little bit about the insurrection, and they started using that word. There's a reason they picked that word. It's because it's in the Constitution. Mm-hmm. There was not a mistake that they used Donald Trump incited an insurrection, because it's right in the 14th Amendment. That word is in the Constitution. And what they're guilty of is they did not, when they set the narrative, they did not show all of the clips of President Trump saying, go be peaceful, go get your voice heard peacefully, be smart, don't do anything dumb. They never let anybody see that. They withheld that information, just like they withhold exculpatory evidence in court cases nowadays. They withheld that same stuff. And what that did is, the only narrative these people, these leftists, have heard is what the media tells them. And I got in a little chat this afternoon, and I made one comment on a real smug, condescending liberal lady that was, I call her, she would be in the pink hair brigade, probably a real feminist. And I made a comment, and I just got absolutely attacked, called a maggot. I never said anything about Trump or nothing. But they are very hate-filled. And I think what Colorado has done, whether they think it's going to get overturned or not, is you have drawn a line in the sand, because you've got the people that hate Trump, that you're not going to change their mind that he's an insurrectionist, he's a dictator, he's a theft, he's a fraud, he's only in it for himself. And you've got the other side that is 100% going to support Trump no matter what, and everything they do, his support grows. So you have drawn a line, and you're not going to get people to cross that line. It's not going to happen. Maybe a few, very few. But what a better way to divide our country completely in half than do what they've done. Because I promise you, if the Supreme Court rules in Trump's favor and he can go back on the ballot, those people are going to be the ones flipping their lid and saying that the Supreme Court is corrupt.
But they're going to be in for a stark realization, Todd, because they're not in the majority.
Correct. I don't think they are either. They think they are, but I don't think
they are. They're not. They're not even close to it. I mean, 30%, maybe. And I don't think it's a hard 30. I don't think it's a hard 30. I think there's probably 30%. Well, yeah, I'll go along with that because they think it's a majority too. But when people start realizing that no, the most of the country doesn't support that, when everybody and their neighbors start saying, well, that was foolish. Why would you keep someone off the ballot? That's not a free country. I mean, when everybody, then they're going to get real quiet. About half of those 30% is going to get real quiet.
Right.
You're gonna have a hardcore 10 or 15% left that are just idiots and sold out to the whole idea. Okay, that's fine. There'll be idiots always. But the truth is they're going to be in for a stark realization, and they are, and the people that are leading, think about this, whether it's one person pulling the strings or just a whole bunch of people with self-interest working together and everything else, the people that are desperate enough to do a maneuver like this that is so clearly outside of constitutional law. And I thought about this. We could have gone through the podcast today and gone through the constitutional law part of it. I don't think that's necessary. I mean, it's just so far out of the realms of constitutional law that it's not even worth discussing. But my point is this: if they're that desperate, Todd, what does that tell us?
They're scared.
Well, what does it tell us about the majority of the country? What does it tell us about the upcoming elections? What does it tell us about the spirit of the American people? We're still here,
right?
And we're not going anywhere. And they know
they know that.
They know it.
Yeah,
they do. So, it's time to pray. It's time to educate your family. It's probably a good, don't protect the kids from the truth. I mean, depending on their age, right, maturity, but don't shield them. They need to know what's going on. They're living through this. They're the ones that are going to have to live in the aftermath of it. So let them know how important this is, and do everything we can to steer the course of our future, right, and not give up. But here's the other thing I started to say: now's the time to also be proud, because any other country that's gone through, can you think of any other country that could survive what we've been put through by the globalists, by the corruption, by the oligarchs, by everybody, and still stand?
No. Most
We're
countries
here,
would have been folded up by now.
and most people would have gone and hid.
Yeah.
And we're still here. So we can also be proud. We're Americans. We have a heritage, and we're going to live up to it. So now's not the time to back down. Now's the time to stick your chest out and stand up.
Right.
And like I said, it may take some prayer. It may take some holding hands below the tabletop. But be proud. Be a proud American and do what we need to do. That's my message.
And you look, if anybody doesn't think this is a coordinated effort, I mean, they never stop. They're always moving their agenda forward, have been for the last 70 years at a fairly rapid pace, but it's really picked up in the last 10, I would say 10 to 12. But
and we got some crazy theories about why that's true too, but go ahead.
Right, but it's always coordinated. And if you don't think it is, I saw tonight that on Fox News that there are Oregon, Nevada, Wyoming, New Mexico, Texas, Arkansas, Wisconsin, New York, West Virginia, and South Carolina all have suits to keep Trump off of the ballot. And those all came out right after Colorado fell to the nonsense that our Supreme Court.
They've been waiting for the first state to fall to do all of this. But understand, all of these groups that are filing those lawsuits, Todd, these are all and I use George Soros just as a identifier, because it's Soros and it's other globalist oligarchs and the money behind it, and multinational America. But all of those billions and billions and billions of dollars and trillions of dollars that are lined up, committed to the downfall of the United States, that's who funds those groups. Okay, so the funding is more or less centralized. It is coming from a common cause to all these different groups in all these different states. So that is the coordination. It's not a grassroots effort.
No.
It's not the people rising up saying, oh, we've got it. That's not what it is at all. So this is an orchestrated takedown of the United States is what it's supposed to be.
And the other thing, you talk about it being they think they're in the majority. If they really thought they were in the majority in this country, why would they even bother keeping him off the ballot? If they knew he was going to get crushed in the election, and they knew that this country hates Donald Trump beyond the shadow of a doubt, why would they even try to keep him off the ballot? I would be saying, like you and I say, put Biden on the ballot. That's what we want as conservatives. Put him on the ballot. He's going to get smoked.
Do you know exactly what it is, Todd? The generals, so to speak, the people kind of pulling the strings, they know the truth. They're panicked.
Yeah,
And
they
what they're
are.
doing, is they're sending wave after wave of sycophantic foot soldiers out there to take the bullets to be mowed down, to go ahead and be used as cannon fodder. And that's exactly what's happening right now, because they get all of their masses on Twitter, all of their, blue haired, idiots out there that'll believe anything they're told, listen to MSNBC and get their news from the New York Times. All of these people, whether they're gray haired and retired, or whether they're young and out of college, doesn't make any difference. They don't care. Anybody they can hypnotize, anybody they can indoctrinate, they just send them out there to repeat their talking points, and they get shriller and shriller, and they keep fire. It's like they've got a cattle prod and they're prodding them, and they get more excited and more excited, because the people behind them that really understand what's going on, they're getting more desperate and more desperate. But the people up front, the cannon fodder, they think they're in the majority. And when that facade crashes, when all those troops, when all that cannon fodder realizes we're not in the majority, it all comes tumbling down. And I'm telling you, that could be as dangerous for our country as anything else, because they'll turn on each other.
They will. They're already unhinged. I think half of them are mentally ill, if you want my honest opinion.
Well, and they have no restraints, because they don't have ethics and morals. They don't
Right.
have they don't fight by the same rules we fight by.
Now, I'm not saying
Watch.
every Democrat is mentally ill. Don't take that as what I'm saying. But the ones that are cheering, jumping up and down, the pink and purple hair brigade people that are the ones that are all over social media clapping this and applauding this, they have some screws loose.
Well, the
They really do.
psychophantic Trump derangement syndrome core brigade of idiots. Yeah, that's who we're talking.
Yes.
And they are being manipulated, indoctrinated, and bless their little hearts, but it's
no
not
way
going
to
to end
go
up
through
well.
life, man.
Not going to end up
Nope.
well.
No way to go through life.
Dumb and stupid. Court, what's worse than being dumb and stupid?
What is?
Well, you could be fat, dumb, and stupid.
Well, there's a lot of things. Yeah.
What's worse than being fat, dumb, and stupid? Well, you could be fat, dumb, and stupid and ugly. You could be fat, dumb, stupid, and ugly. That'd be worse.
Yes. It's always worse. It can always get worse.
Yeah. What's worse than being fat, dumb, and ugly and stupid?
Well, I can't help but think something that my grandma used to tell me. It's better to keep your mouth shut and be thought a fool than open it and remove all doubt. So I would say probably outspoken with all of those things, with all the above.
You pretty much hit it. You could be fat, dumb, ugly, stupid, and a Biden supporter. I mean, so.
Right. Yeah, it's true. But yeah, crazy, crazy times. But like Bill said, we got to pray, stay the course. And our country's worth it, man. We're the last hope for this entire world. No doubt about it. So
I think that's really what I wanted to say tonight. I mean, it's kind of one of those weird times, because it's one of the most dramatic times, one of the most impactful times that we're going to live through, and it's not going to get resolved tomorrow. I don't know when the Supreme Court is going to take it up, or when they're going to decide whether to take it up. I don't know when we'll have a resolution, but right now the clock is ticking on the decision point, on the, you call it, what do you call it? A flex point, a decision point. History is going to go this way or this way. Inflection point. Thank you. So the clock is ticking to that inflection point. And very rarely throughout history do people know that they're inching towards an historical inflection point. I mean, if you're a student of history like I am, and a lot of my friends especially are, that is so rare. We're privileged in one sense.
We are right on the cut.
To watch it come and happen. So, a lot of bad things, but a lot of good things, and a lot of learning moments for our children and for the next generation, which always gives me hope. So,
well, remember, we still live in America, and it's always a great day to be an American. And communism still sucks. The communists are still doing communist things. So we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, everybody. Take care of yourself and everybody around you. See ya.